Now besides properties, you can also add decorators to accessors, and there I will create a new decorator function because this will now receive 3 arguments, log2. It will also get the target, which again is either the prototype if we're dealing with an instance accessor, or if we're dealing with a static one, it will be the constructor function, so we don't know, it will be of type any. Then we'll have the name of the member we're dealing with, so the name of the accessor in the end, and we'll also have the property descriptor here, which will be of type property descriptor. That's a type built into TypeScript. So in there, let's log accessor decorator, and then I will also console log the target here, and then maybe new lines to make that more readable in the output, the name, and also the descriptor. Now let's add log2 to the setter here, like this, and let's see what we get. If we save that, you see down there, we get the accessor decorator which executes here. We got our prototype again, the same as above for the property. Then we got the name of our accessor, price in this case, not underscore price, so not the property with which it deals internally, instead really the name of the accessor itself. And we got a property descriptor here, where we see that a setter function is defined, for example. A getter function is not, because for price, I only have a setter, no getter. And we see that it's not enumerable, but that it is configurable, so that we can change this definition here, for example, that we can delete it, and so on. This all exists, and this is how we can add a decorator to an accessor and what we then can access inside of this decorator. Now, besides properties and accessors, we also got methods, and we can add decorators to methods. So here I'll add log3 and add that to my method down there to get price with text. And now the question, of course, is which arguments does such a method decorator receive? A method decorator also receives 3 arguments. The target again, which if it's an instance method is the prototype of the object. If it's a static method, the constructor function, just as before. Then the name of the method here, so string or symbol actually, and also the descriptor at the end, property descriptor. These are the 3 arguments we get here, and you see these are the same arguments as on our accessor. So indeed we could also reuse this, but I will create a new one so that here I can print method decorator. Now with that, if I save this, this executes, and you see here our method decorator executes. And then here we get our prototype, same object as before. We get the name of the method here, and we get this descriptor of this method here. So the very same behavior as before, basically, just the descriptor is a little bit different since it's a method descriptor and not an accessor descriptor. We got a value and a writable property here. Previously on the accessor descriptor, we had get and set, but that's just a JavaScript difference, nothing TypeScript specific. So here we do have our third decorator function, which we now added to a method. The last decorator we can add is to a parameter. So let's do that now. For that, I'll create one more function here, log4. And I want to add log4 to this one parameter I'm getting here, tags. And you could add one to every parameter you get, of course. You don't have to, but you can add them independently to any parameter you want to add a decorator to. Now, what does a parameter decorator get as arguments? Well, it gets the target, same as before. The next argument we get is the name, and not the name of the parameter, but the name of the method in which we use this parameter. So basically the same as in the method decorator thus far. But the last argument is different. This is now not the property descriptor, but instead this is the position of this argument. So the number of the argument. Here, for example, this would be the first argument. So now again, let's copy that here and put all of that into log4, parameter decorator, and let's output position here as well so that we can see what's in there. If we now save that, we see our parameter decorator up there, not the very last output because execution order is different, but we see our parameter decorator here, and then here we got the prototype as before, we get the name of the method where we use this parameter, and then the index of that argument, and that starts at 0, so the first argument has a number of 0 here, an index of 0. And that's our parameter decorator. So these are all the places where we can add decorators in TypeScript, and we can do various things with them. Now I will show you a couple of examples in this module here, and I'll also show you libraries or frameworks that make heavy use of decorators, and I'll show you what they do with decorators to give you an idea of the power that decorators can have.